Now I'm going to teach you how to play Thunderstone Advance. Thunderstone Advance is a deck building game where each player controls a band of heroes that will try to move through the dungeon and kill all the monsters. To win the game, you'll have to have the most victory points in your deck at the game end. The game ends when the Thunderstone bearer is either defeated in rank 2 or 3 of the dungeon or escapes the dungeon by reaching rank 1. As soon as he is defeated or escapes, the game ends and players simply tally all the victory points in their deck. The player with the highest score wins. If there is a tie, the player who has the Thunderstone bearer wins. If there is still a tie, then the tied player who has the most experience points left wins the game. Thunderstone is a deck building game that means business. It features a lot of different card types, so I'm going to be throwing cards at you left and right. Try to stay with me. First, I'm going to go over the general categories of cards, then common symbols seen on cards, and finally, important keywords that you'll encounter. The first type of card are heroes. Heroes are the primary way that you'll engage with the monsters. Your basic deck will include 6 of these regulars. They are the weakest of the heroes. Next up, we have items. Items will frequently give you light, but can do a wide variety of effects. Third, we have weapons. Weapons must be wielded by heroes in order to be effective. They will usually add physical or magical attack to your tableau. Then we have magic spells. Spells do not require a hero to cast, and you're usually used to do magic damage to monsters. They can also occasionally give you light or perform other effects like items. Next up are villagers. Villagers also include the subtype of mercenaries, which can do damage to monsters, like heroes and weapons. However, villagers can do a wide variety of effects and will often help you in the village. Next up are curses. You will never purchase curses willingly, but curses are given to you by monster effects. They are almost always negative. Next up, we have familiars. Familiars are a new type of card to Thunderstone Advance, and you will gain them once per game when you kill a monster. Finally, we have the monsters. The monsters will be moving through the dungeon hall, and you have to fight them in order to gain victory points and win the game. To continue the overview of the cards, I'm now going to show you various symbols that are common to most cards. At the top of the card, you'll see its name, and below that, several subtypes. Along the left edge of the card, you'll see at the top a gold value in the gold coin. On your turn, you'll add up all your gold values, and that's what you'll have to spend to buy cards from the village. Below that, you'll see weight for a weapon or strength for a hero. These are linked terms because the strength of a hero determines how heavy the weapon he can wield. Below that, you'll see a light source, assuming that it provides one. If nothing is there, the item does not affect the light in the dungeon. But if you see a number in a light source, then it will either increase or decrease the level of darkness. In the middle of the card, you'll see a number in a bag. That number is how much gold you have to pay in order to buy this card from the village. In the bottom left-hand corner of a card, you might see an experience point value. On a monster, this is how much experience you'll gain when you defeat it. On a hero, this is the number of experience you must spend in order to level up the hero. At the top right of a monster, you'll see its health value. This is how much damage you have to deal to the monster in a combination of magical and physical attack in order to defeat it. The final element of a Thunderstone card is the gameplay text. This text will often include a keyword which will tell you when that effect takes place. Note that this will not be a completely exhaustive list of keywords because future releases may introduce new ones. First up, we have physical and magical attack. Physical and magical attack stack under normal conditions and are used to oppose the monster's health value. You'll simply add up your total physical and magical attack for the fight, and then if it equals or exceeds the monster's health, then you have defeated it. Next up, we have village effects and dungeon effects. A village effect can only be used while in the village, and a dungeon effect while in the dungeon. Neither of these effects are mandatory, but each can only be used one time unless you see repeat dungeon or repeat village. Next up, you'll see spoils. If you use a card with spoils on it during a fight and defeat a monster, you'll gain the spoils effect. Monsters, however, have battle effects. These battle effects happen when the fight starts and can change the outcome of the battle. Conversely, monsters can possess aftermath effects. These are generally penalties for defeating the monster, but come into play whether or not you kill the monster when you fight it. These do not affect the outcome of the battle and are applied afterward. Next up, we have global effects in red text. Global effects affect the entire hall and are active no matter where the monster is, not just when you're fighting it. A breach effect on a monster activates as soon as the monster enters rank 1 of the dungeon hall. These can often affect the village, as the monster is depicted as invading the village. Finally, monsters can have trophy effects. These effects do not come into play when the monster is actually being fought, but are mandatory when they're in your hand. Thunderstone's setup is a little time-consuming and follows 3 phases. First, you'll build the dungeon deck. To do so, you'll use the dungeon randomizer cards to choose 3 types of monsters. You'll choose a level 1 monster, like these skeletons, a level 2 monster, like these ogres, and a level 3 monster, like these dragons. You'll shuffle all 3 decks together to form one 30-card dungeon deck. Then, you'll add one random Thunderstone bearer to the mix. You'll shuffle him into the bottom 10 cards of the dungeon deck. Then, you'll take the top 3 cards and place them into rank 1, 2, and 3 of the dungeon. Then, you'll also randomize heroes and village cards. To randomize the hero cards, you simply take hero randomizers and draw 4. You'll take the appropriate hero stacks and place them in the hero slots here. Then, you'll take the village randomizer cards and shuffle them up and draw 8 random village cards. You'll place the appropriate stacks in the slots as shown. You can have any combination of different village cards, but it's recommended that you don't use too many of any one type. In addition to whatever you randomize, you'll always have access to torches, long spears, and regulars. Once you've built all the decks, it's time to build your personal basic decks. To do so, you'll simply take 6 regulars, 2 long spears, 2 torches, and finally 2 Thunderstone shards. You'll shuffle these 12 cards together to form your basic deck. Now it's time to determine who will begin the game. This is done randomly, but my group likes to do something we call leading with light. To do so, you'll simply flip cards off the top of your basic deck until one player reveals a torch. If 2 players reveal a torch simultaneously, then you'll keep going between the tied players until another torch is revealed. The player who reveals the first torch begins the game. Once that's done, you'll again shuffle your basic decks and everyone will draw their 6 cards starting hand. Now you're ready to play Thunderstone. Thunderstone is played in turns, and on your turn you can do one of 4 different things. One thing you can do on your turn is go to the dungeon. When you do so, you'll reveal your hand and first activate any dungeon effects that you'd like to use. Then you'll choose a monster in the dungeon hall to fight. At that time, you'll activate any of the monster's appropriate battle effects, and then you'll compare your total attack to the monster's health value. If your attack meets or exceeds the monster's health value, taking into account any light penalties applied by the level of the dungeon, then you will defeat the monster. If you defeat the monster, you will resolve any of its aftermath effects, and then place it in your discard pile. Finally, you will gain experience equal to the amount of experience points in the bottom left of the card. If, however, you do not defeat the monster because your total attack is not as high as the monster's health value, then the monster instead retreats to the bottom of the dungeon deck. When this happens, you still resolve any of the monster's aftermath effects, but the monster is not defeated and you do not gain experience. Either way, any remaining monsters will shift 1 rank up in the hall, and you'll draw monsters to fill the hall to replace the ones that have been killed or retreated. The second thing you can choose to do on a turn is go to the village. Again, you'll reveal your entire hand and activate any village effects that you'd like to use. Then, you can buy one card from the top of any one village stack. To do so, you'll simply add up all the gold values in your hand, and you may use that amount in order to buy one card of equal or lesser cost. When you buy a card, you'll simply take it from the top of the stack and place it in your discard pile. Then, while you're still in the village, you can level up any number of heroes as long as you have the appropriate number of experience points. To level up a hero, you'll destroy it from your hand and then spend a number of experience as shown in the bottom corner. When you do so, you'll take a hero from the stack one level higher than the one you destroyed. If you would like to level up a regular, formerly militia, then you will use the number of experience in the corner and level it up into any level 1 hero that is available in the stacks. If you don't go to either the dungeon or the village, then you can rest. When you rest, you simply destroy any one card in your hand and then end your turn. Finally, and new to Thunderstone Advance, you may prepare. When you prepare, you'll choose any number of cards in your hand and place them on top of your draw pile. Then, no matter what you've done in your turn, any of the 4 actions, you will discard all cards in your hand and then draw 6 new ones from the top of your deck. Now you know how to play Thunderstone Advance.